This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon. Okay, so welcome to andBeyond Ngala. Where we are now, you with myself, Sean, and we got OD behind the camera. Now, what you saw inside there. So, firstly, we just want to welcome the kids. Remember, kids, you can send your questions to kidsquestions@WildEarth.tv. And just to warn everybody now, for the start, what we have inside there is a leopard, one of the Ngala leap. I'm not sure if it's the mother or the cub, or the youngster rather, but they are on a carcass. Looks like they're eating something. You can see it's very dark inside there, quite hard for us to see, so we're not sure exactly if it's the mother or the youngster. But just to be aware that it's feeding. There's a little bit of blood inside of there, very well hidden. Very, very well hidden. I mean, even in this picture now, all you can see is that sort of backside there where the sun is hitting those couple spots. So heads further into the right there, you're going to see OD will zoom in shortly. But just be aware for anyone that's watching that gets a little bit squirmish. But what a fantastic start. You know, a bit of a quiet drive on andBeyond Ngala this morning. But the Ngala always provides. And now we have this. I mean, it is, yeah, you can see a little bit of movement in there. So that's the head. So this is the leopard now. It looks like this is a very fresh carcass. It was actually found a little bit earlier this morning. Well, earlier this afternoon rather. But it's very, very fresh. What it looks like is this leopard is busy trying to open up the carcass. So you can see the carcass is still on the ground. It's under a bush, a very, very thick bush, but it's under a bush. And what the leopard's trying to do is open it up, take all of that, the insides out, the intestines, the stomach, all of that sort of thing. Take it all out. Firstly, it will make the carcass a lot lighter for when the leopard wants to carry it up a tree. It will be a lot lighter. And the leopard doesn't eat that. Doesn't eat the intestines, doesn't eat the stomach. So taking all of that out, it gets it out of the way. So the leopard then has sort of free access to all the bits of meat that it does want to eat. So you see her every now and then she stops, she's looking around. Now she's looking at us. But she was looking off to the right. Now there's lots of trees in this area. Lots of trees, great places for her to take this food. There's big trees, there's thickets, there's thin trees, there's anything she could ask for. So we're going to spend probably the majority of the afternoon sitting here and just waiting to see. But how incredible is it that just inside here, in this area right there, there's a leopard. And that's all you can see there are those little spots. I mean, it's phenomenal, their camouflage. Phenomenal. It actually took me, OD spotted the leopard before I did. We were sitting here, and I was like, it's here somewhere, and we're looking under the trees, and then OD's like, there's something in the bush. And then there was this leopard. We were here for about, maybe not a minute, but still. Spectacular. Yeah, great. You must be excited. I'm getting comments from FC, from Lundeka, saying everyone's very excited, and it is. It's very exciting. I mean, what a wonderful start to the day. I'm going to keep quiet for a bit to see if you can listen. Because right now the leopard, as I said, it's trying to open up the carcass. So you can hear a bit of crunching, a bit of cutting as the leopard's using the side of its teeth, well, the teeth on the side of its mouth, to sort of scissor through the skin, through the fat, through all of that sinew to try and get to the meat, to try and open everything up. So just have a listen. Yes, obviously when I keep quiet, she stops doing that. Classic leopard behavior. Okay, you can faintly hear it, so that's good. But, so that's what she's doing. You know, we can hear all of these noises faintly. She does it, sometimes you can hear it, sometimes you can't. But it's very exciting. I'm actually excited for this leopard to hopefully come out of the bush to figure out which one it is. Is it the mother or is it the youngster? Because either way, the other one should be close by. You know, because if it's, let's say it's the youngster, the mother courting and parley, she's probably just sitting down close by, trying to catch her breath, trying to relax, lower her body temperature. Or, I thought I was trying to move the carcass for a bit there. And then also the other way, you know, if it's the mother, then the youngster will be close by, because it also wants to eat. And the other one is probably watching us right now. Let's see how much have you seen there. So there you can see, so look at the tail. Now the tail's going up the left hand side. I don't know if you can all make out. There it is. There, fantastic camera work there, Eddie. So that's the tail. So the leopard is actually trying to pull the carcass backwards. You can see all of that movement backwards, and using the tail probably for a little bit of balance. You can see how thick it is in there. Everywhere this leopard moves, there's branches, there's trees, there's something in the way. So it's trying to figure out how to move around. And it will actually be a bit difficult for the leopard when it's actually trying to move the carcass out of there. Trying to drag it to the ground. It's going to get hooked on branches and thorns and sticks and leaves and all of that. But in there it's very protected, you know. There's no vultures circling around here. Well, what we're going to do, we are going to spend some time here. Keep watching, keep monitoring, see if this leopard moves the carcass, see if another leopard comes, all of that. While we're doing all of that fun stuff, we're going to send you across to Tswalu Kalahari, see what they're up to.
Good afternoon from another beautiful, slightly dusty afternoon at Tswalu Kalahari. Jandre behind the camera and Dylan. Good that you can join us. We've just been sitting watching this herd of wildebeest. They're actually at a mineral lick at the moment, but we'll come back to that just now. There seems to be two different groups of wildebeest that actually came together, and now one group seems to be heading off now. A bit of dominance there at that mineral lick. The one at the mineral lick keeping the others away. Yeah, it's being a little bit more tolerant there now, saying, okay, there's enough for both of us. So that mineral lick actually just helps supplement their mineral intake. The Kalahari sands that we're on have actually got a pretty low nutrient value and mineral value, and there are some key elements that are in very, very low naturally occurring abundance in these systems, and that's why we actually occasionally use mineral licks to supplement that. Quite a few youngsters in this group as well. Jenna, I think salt makes most things taste better. It's like, I think the wildebeest agree. We've actually got this very, very closely placed to one of our waterholes. The waterhole, you can't see it now, but it's just behind us to the right. We'll drive past there a little bit later. Because around any waterhole, and you would have seen that down in the Sabi Sands as well, and in Ngala, where you get quite an area of impact around a waterhole, and we'd want to try to keep it like that. I wonder why they ran off. I think they're catching up with their herd. Magnificent old tree there on the left. In fact, both of them. That big tree on the left-hand side is called a camel thorn tree, or a mokala. That's the kind of tree that that one meerkat group is named after, that species of tree. And the name camel thorn actually derives from the Dutch name for a giraffe, or the Afrikaans name for a giraffe, a kameelpad, which means a camel horse. And they love feeding on the seed pods of these trees. There's actually very few seed pods left on these trees, so they've obviously been doing a good job at them. Francesca, the mineral lick that you're seeing here now is just salt. So it's just sodium. You can get other different kinds of mineral licks as well. And you can actually have them composed. You can, the guys, when they manufacture them, they can actually compose them, include different kinds of minerals depending on what the requirement is. But this is one of our big ones that we're lacking in these environments. And we've actually got a very, very interesting research project underway from a young guy in the United States. And what he's looking at is the transfer of nutrients in environments and the nutrient gradients. And one of the particular ones that he's looking at is sodium. And what you find certainly in South Africa, and it probably holds true for many areas, the closer towards the coast you go, the higher the sodium or salt content in the plants and vegetation and soils, and the further inland you go, the less the sodium content. So that obviously would have implications for reserves in different areas of the country. I've always wondered about walking around in these hot, dusty environments and going and licking a big block of salt. I'm always like, yeesh. I don't know if it's something I would do. But they seem to enjoy it. In the meantime, while we're watching these wildebeest, please head over to David down in the Lowveld.
Welcome to our afternoon sunset safari. Just got in mobile and we're going to be cruising around, seeing what we can find. Just quickly want to do a follow-up on that black-maned male from this morning. See if we can perhaps relocate or see which way he went. Otherwise, just planning to enjoy every single moment. My name is David Hancock, and on camera we've got BK, and we're going to be taking you on a journey through the wilderness this afternoon. Just coming down to the Moati. Got a feeling that black-maned male came down through here. He may still be in the drainage, or he went right through, perhaps on the way to join up with the Talamatis. We shall very soon see when we find his tracks. But on a sadder note, this is my last game drive for a while. I'm going to be going home after this one, so I'm going to make absolute most of it, enjoy every moment. It's been a privilege being here for these last couple of weeks. Thoroughly enjoyed every moment, enjoyed working with the incredible team, and of course just being out here in the African bush is reward enough in its own. And I believe I'm getting some well wishes. Thank you very much. But I'm sure I shall see you again, or you shall see me again. One day back in the bush. Djuma is an incredible property. It's like a magnet, keeps pulling you back. Some beautiful impala here on our right. Jason, you're 8 years old. Thank you for your question. You've asked, how often do male lion have territory fights? Jason, it's not so common. Generally they steer clear of each other. But every now and then an intruder will come into a male's territory. It could be another strong coalition that wants to take over, or it could be a nomad, which is like a younger lion that doesn't really have a place of his own, just moving through. And in that case, if he's detected, then there will be a fight. So not all that often, Jason, but it definitely does happen. Even though these are such common animals, I still love spending time with them. They've got such pretty faces, beautiful colorations. They are very curious today, listening and watching. But I am not the only one out on Djuma this afternoon. The cat tracking robot Tristan is also out and about. Let's send you over to him to say hello.
We are indeed, Dave. We are out and about, and we have already made our way up towards Buffelshoek Dam and have a really cool view of our little baby fat hippopotamus that is having a little sunbathe. Oh, there it goes. Splashing into the water. Shame. They've been having a nap in the sun just to warm up this afternoon, because it's probably find that the water is a little on the cold side after the cold few days that we've had, and the sun is beautiful and warm this afternoon, so the perfect conditions. But before we get into all of the things that are around this dam, I need to say hello to all of you. As David may or may not have mentioned, my name is Tristan. On camera I've got Alex, and it is a very warm welcome to Rusty, which is our vehicle, our humble steed for the afternoon. Now, the hippos are there, but more importantly are two buffalo bulls to our left-hand side, and they are important. The lions are here somewhere. They were left at this dam, and so if there's lions and buffalo in the same place, that's a recipe for, well, one or other to be chased around. And so we're going to try and see if we can find the lions. Apparently, when we left them this morning, they popped out here, and then they lay down in the shade, and they looked as though they were going to sleep. And like I say with lions, is if they hear buffalo close by, then they will try and maybe hunt them, and two buffalo bulls like this would be a prime target for a pride the size of what we saw this morning. So we're going to try and see if we can find these Talamati lions. I'm sure they're lying up in the shade. The buffalo are lying up in the shade. There's hippos, so lots going on at Buffelshoek Dam. I'm hoping, like I say, that it will play out the way that we think it will this afternoon. I just want to quickly check if the lions are still here. Say they apparently, after we left, lay up close by. But I know these lions, and I know the temperature today is cool enough for them to have walked. And the Talamati pride can walk even in the heat of the day if they want to. So we're just going to check out for them and see where they've gone. I'm trying to look for any sign of a paw sticking up or a white belly, because when they're sleeping at this time of the day, that's generally how they sleep. And the way we're going to do that is be able to look underneath the kind of shady parts of the trees. The lions won't be lying out in the sun. It's too warm for them now. So the shade really what they're going to be after. But I don't see them already, which is a surprise. I would have thought that they were going to be lying right here close to the water, given that's where they settled. They definitely said to me it was on this side, and I don't see any tracks leaving the water hole, so they must be here. We just got to look carefully for them. I'm sure we'll find them soon enough. can't be too hard given that there's 14 of them. They leave a lot of footprints. Okay, nothing this far, so let's go back a bit and just check. I want to just have a little look close to the dam wall. There's quite a thick area where it's the perfect place for lions to go and lie down, and for us to maybe find them in the shade. No, wait, you see they've walked here. They're walking on the left-hand side of the road. I can see their tracks, so we're going to have to go up the road to check. That's not ideal that they've left. I thought it would be a bit funny that the buffalo was sitting there and the lions were just nowhere around, because they would have definitely wanted to hunt those buffalo. Alright, I'm going to try find them. I'm hoping they haven't crossed north out of Djuma. In the meantime though, let's send you to andBeyond and Ngala with that leopard.
Okay, so we followed the one, and it looked like it was the youngster. I think James Richard agreed that it was the youngster, and that's the one here you can see on the left, or you can just see the stomach here. There it is. You can see it's got a very full stomach, breathing very quickly. There's a bit of the head, and that is the youngster. Now, she was the one that was eating. You see that full stomach. And what she did, she left the carcass and she actually moved here to join up with the mother, who is also lying in the grass. You see that one, very irritated by the flies. They look at that sunlight beautifully on the mother. So that is the mother. Over there you can see also panting very, very quickly. And that's most likely just from the hunt. A lot of energy, uses a lot of resources, makes the leopards obviously very, very tired, especially in the heat. That carcass still very, very fresh. As I said, caught earlier today. Probably it was very hot this morning. So the mother's just trying to cool down, that panting, just trying to cool down. A beautiful, beautiful leopard. So nice to have both of them. I guess just lying very close together. Now you can see that young one's moving its head a lot more. Oh, there it goes. Oh, did not get very far at all. You can see that big, big sigh that she did. Look at that stomach. It's so full that this leopard can't even breathe deeply. You can see all of that little panting. Okay, the mother's panting because she's hot. Okay, so we've got our first question from Hanu, who's 12 years old, and wanting to know, can the hyenas smell the carcass? Now, Hanu, when we arrived here, right at the beginning of the show, I would have said no, because we couldn't smell anything. It was very well concealed inside that bush, and everything was still inside of the carcass. But just as you guys went across to Tswalu Kalahari, the youngster here tried to move it again, and it seems like she ripped the stomach. Now, I don't know if you ever smelt the stomach of an impala, Hanu, but it's horrible. It smells terribly. And she did try and cover it up with some grass, but that smell will travel far. It's very windy at the moment. That smell is going to travel, and that hyenas can definitely smell. You know, the one thing in their favor at the moment is the heat. Hanu, because it's hot, the hyenas are not going to be active. They're going to be sleeping, they're going to be resting. So hopefully there isn't one close by. If he does smell that, he will definitely come and steal it. But you must remember, we saw where it was hidden. Very, very good hiding spot. Very thick, very dense. The cub did try and cover up the insides, which will all help in masking the smell. So hopefully Hanu, hyenas can't smell it. Because we want these ones to eat. We want these ones to eat. Oh, there goes the mother. Sorry, I'm a bit delayed. There goes. Looks like she might be heading back towards that carcass. So hopefully she might go and move it, drag it up a tree, which would be ideal. Because, as Hanu pointed out, if the hyenas do smell it, they're going to come and steal it. And as it's getting later, it's getting colder, the hyenas are going to be more active. which is not good. So what we're going to do, we're going to stay here, because I want to see exactly what this youngster does, what the mother does. The mother might drag it this way. This is where most of the big trees are. We've moved around to the other side of where we were earlier, and we're amongst a lot of the big trees here. So I'm hoping the mother, if she does move it, she moves it this way. But it's amazing that camouflage, the coat of the mother actually went through that sun into the shade. Really, really beautiful. But even this little one here, now she's just over a year old now. A year and a couple of days. Her birthday was in March. And so she's not too big yet, but I was saying her camouflage, when she just lies there in the grass. You see, if she puts her head down again, and we zoom out a little bit, it's incredible how well they blend in. I mean, from the road, you'll struggle to see that. I mean, look, even from here, got her head up, not trying to hide, but you can basically just see when she moves. Phenomenal. And I imagine trying to hide. It's no wonder we don't see these leopards very often. Okay, now we're going to keep quiet and just listen to see if we can hear the mother moving the food, eating, dragging. Five-year-old Samantha. Do I think the leopards save food, save space for dessert? Samantha, I think so, hey? I think what they'll do, they'll start with like a piece of meat, and then they'll save space for a very juicy piece of meat, which will be their dessert. They don't do ice cream, they just do more juicy meat for dessert. Although if you look at this cub Samantha, I don't think it left any space for dessert. I think it just ate until it couldn't eat anymore. See how it's got its mouth open. See that mouth open, just trying to help regulate its body temperature. Oh, it looks like it might. Oh, I can hear the mother. I can hear it rustling. I can't see anything, but I can hear it rustling. So what we're going to do, we're going to try reposition. It's quite thick in here, so we're going to try and make our way around. While we're doing that, we're going to send you across to Tswalu Kalahari.
So we're slowly making our way down to the waterhole. But these animals, this little group of springbuck, one impala and a zebra, are within 150 yards of it. But they're super alert. Not so much the springbuck in the foreground there, but the impala at the back was watching around, looking up and down just now. And then the zebra, that plains zebra that walked off, was starting to call. They're not too perturbed, so I don't think it's got anything to do with predation. But it's just, I think just there's that heightened alertness when they're on an approach or close to a waterhole for good reasons. It's really nice seeing the springbuck, which is this little group in the foreground, and the single impala at the back. There's very few reserves where you've actually got springbuck and impala in the same area. Your springbuck are very much an arid or semi-arid area species. Your impala tend to be far more of a what we call a mesic area, or in areas with higher rainfall species. But Tswalu is located on the transition zone between that arid and the mesic, so that's why we term semi-arid, and that actually enables us to have both species on the same place. Very, very cool to see that. Of the constant tail flicking, ears flicking. That's for flies. Obviously, quite a few flies around them, I'd imagine. There are reports of lion in the area. So we'll keep our eyes open for that as well. Georgia, a lot of animals use mineral licks, so it's not only wildebeest. There's some that'll use them more frequently than others, like the wildebeest. That's a very, very good example. But many, many animals will use them. I've even seen birds, things like doves, and we've got a really fun little bird here called a mouse bird. It's small body, little crest, and a long tail. They will actually land on the thing and actually feed on those mineral licks. But sorry, head over to Ngala. That leopard's doing some cool stuff there.
Okay, so you can see here, it got stolen. Like as you left, we were repositioning and this hyena just ran in and took it down right here. The mother was in there. She was there at the carcass. I didn't see it, but I just saw this hyena go in, and it must have been that small that Hanu just asked about. And the hyena, I don't know, just up and about, close by, smelt that stomach. When it ripped, came, found it, stole it. Crazy how just quickly it happened. There wasn't a fight, there wasn't a battle. You know, I never heard the mother growl or snarl or the hyena do anything. I just saw this hyena run. We drove around the bush, came here, and this is what we saw. And this, oh, you can see the hyena dragging it. So it's quite a big impala. It looks like quite an old male, actually. You can see through the bush there a little bit. I don't want to move just yet. Let the hyena start, see where he drags it to, and then we will move. But this is why it's so important for leopards to take food up trees. Okay, let's see here if we start. The hyena's got to try and move the carcass away from the leopards. Oh, look straight ahead, look straight ahead. See, there comes the leopard, smelling. This is why the hyena is trying to drag the carcass. See, the mother's got something. A little bit, it looks like all intestines. Maybe the stomach, she's just stepping over the stomach. So maybe it's like the liver, the lungs, things like that, which they might still eat. You know, seeing that they lost the rest of the food, they might still eat those little bits that they can get. Now, she would have gone much further in there. And this is why the hyena, off to our left, is trying to drag the food away, because it's a leopard, can still fight back. Hyena doesn't want to deal with that sort of admin. Okay, I'm going to go forward. I'm going to go forward. Okay, we're actually going to stay here for now. I'm going to just go a tiny bit forward, because then Owen will have a much better gap. If you can shoot through there. Obviously it moves back behind the leaves now, because we moved. But it's crazy how quickly it happened. Okay, we're going to move one more. Owen, watch your head here. Now you can see if you can get... That carcass is very heavy. It's still a very big carcass. It looks like a big impala that this mother caught. And remember now, impalas are rutting. So big males, they're very distracted. And that's most likely happened here. This impala was rutting. He was distracted. He was tired. The leopard took that opportunity, caught it. As you said, it's still very fresh. And that hyena's trying to drag it, but he's not as adapted to it as the leopard is. So he's struggling a bit to figure out how to move it exactly. You can see he's kind of just, I'm not going to move again, because every time we move he's sort of shifting the carcass. He's continually moving it, trying to get at it, get to a good angle. Because he caught it so early on, you know, he needs to crack through all of that skin still. He needs to get into that juicy, meaty part. You can see his whole head is bloody because he's sticking it right inside there. See, the difference is the leopard would hold the impala by the throat and drag it. The impala's like got it in between the front legs. The hyena's got the impala between the front legs trying to drag it. So he keeps looking in the direction of the leopards. He's still worried about them. So we've got a question from Kimia, who's 8 years old, wanted to know why the leopard let one hyena steal the food. Now Kimia, if you look, that hyena is much, much bigger than the leopard. Much bigger. He's bulkier, stronger, and for the leopard, it's not worth the fight. You know, the hyena, if the hyena gets injured, he lives in a clan, he lives in a group. The rest of the clan can get food for him. So it's not a problem if he's injured. Where if the leopard gets injured, come here, nothing's going to hunt for the leopard. So it's not going to be able to eat. So the decision is rather give up one meal and hunt again, than fight for this, have this one meal, but then get injured and not be able to hunt again. So it's much better to just give the food up, especially to a hyena, which are very strong. They are quite ruthless. It's not worth the fight. Okay, I'm going to keep quiet for a little bit, just like a minute or two, and just listen to the noises. Can hear a few. Okay, so we've got a question from Bridget wanting to know how much this hyena will eat. Will he eat the whole carcass or will he leave some? Bridget, he will eat the whole carcass. He will chew everything. There will be very, 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 very little left. If he doesn't finish it all, then another hyena will come and finish the rest. But he will eat absolutely as much as he can. A hyena, bigger than the leopard, but not a huge hyena. I would rate that this hyena would eat at least 90% of this carcass. And then maybe, you never know, before it will get distracted or get scared or will run away. If that happens, you'll find that the leopard might come in and see what it can scavenge, what it can get, whatever's left, and hopefully take that somewhere. But this hyena, he does not leave space for dessert. He just eats the whole thing. And you can see, he knows he stole it. You know, he's still very alert, he's very nervous. He's looking around, looking left, looking right. Now you can imagine, I don't know if you can see, so that white thing that's close to us, that is the ear of the impala. So its head is closest to us. There we go, that's the head. So where that hyena is eating is from the sort of rump, just in front of the back legs, but on the stomach, where the stomach sac would have been, the intestines, all of that. And they would eat from there because it's much softer. You know, you go further up and you're dealing with the rib cage, you're dealing with the spine. If you're going from the top, you're dealing from the sort of shoulder area, so there's a lot of bones at the front of the carcass. That's why the hyena and lions and leopards, all of these carnivores, predators will go in from the back. They will eat from the rump, from the stomach area, where there's a lot more meat and a lot less bone. So it's much easier to gain access to the carcass. That's why he's starting off there. And you'll see, as we sit here and we watch, he'll eat further forward, back towards the sort of head, the neck area, once he's sort of cleared all of that easy meat out from the back. So you see now it looks like he's going for a little bit of shoulder there. Okay, so Hanu, 12 years old. Hanu, no. The mother and the cub, the youngster, the leopards, they won't team up and fight this hyena. Again, their odds are still they're not good enough. Not against the hyena. Now as I said, this hyena is not huge. It's not a massive hyena. So maybe a very big male leopard might try and challenge this hyena. If the leopard was here, a big male, and it was his food, he might try and challenge the hyena. Only a very big male leopard though. This female and her cub, they're still small. Even the female, she's over 5.5 years old. She's too small to fight a hyena. It's just not worth the risk. Even together, the cub is too young. And there's a lot of food here for sure, but it's not worth it. See how he's trying to turn this carcass over, but he just can't seem to get it right. Okay, what we're going to do though, we're going to spend more time here watching, seeing how this develops, seeing what happens. We will keep you all updated, but in the meantime, we're going to send you across to Tristan at Djuma with some lions.
Well, just in time. We've just found the Telematis. It took a bit of tracking and a bit of roundabout work to find them. They've walked quite a bit actually from the dam itself, and they kind of zigzagged quite a lot, and we eventually, like I say, after a little bit of twisting and turning and walking and kind of looking and checking, and we managed to eventually pick them up. But they're just resting at the moment, and luckily they're not miles away from Buffelshoek Dam. It's very, very possible that they might head back there again later in the afternoon. But for now, everybody's just taking it very, very easy. These are two of the cubs that are a little bit more out in the open. The rest of the pride is close by. We'll show you guys the rest just now, but they're all on their backs. These two at least have their heads up, which is very, very nice. And it's our favorite little one at the back, the one with the short little stumpy tail, where his tip is missing, and then one of, I'm sure it's litter mates here in front. But I'm surprised they've moved as far as they did. You know, when we left them, it was already quite warm at that time of the day, and they still walked a further 20 minutes towards 15-20 minutes to Buffelshoek Dam, and then from there they've probably covered, in terms of lion walking time, about another 20 minutes, which is right in the heat of the day. So it surprises me how far they've come, given that they were on a kill, given that they got water. I would have expected them to have just settled down and to have stayed very, very close to the waterhole, and the opportunity to hunt would have been better closer to the waterhole. Even though we know that this morning they ate, it wasn't a very big meal. It wasn't enough for all of these guys to be full and happy, and so staying by a waterhole would have been a better call, I think. But you never know. Maybe they head back there a little bit later. Those two buffalo are obviously there, and so it's very possible that they might go and tangle with those guys. But those buffalo will be a difficult hunt for them without the evoker male. He, would provide a lot more power and a lot more punch to be able to take big bull buffalo on like that. We only counted 4 females this morning, but it's not to say there isn't more. The fifth one we might have just missed. But there's supposed to be 5 of them, I think, is what the guys were telling me. With the 9 cubs, but the 9 cubs are not going to be useful in the buffalo hunt, I'm afraid. They're still too little, and they're not going to be able to partake too much, especially with big buffalo bulls. But the females, well, they'll be a lot better off to be able to do that. So let's see what plays out. I'm hoping that the male comes in this direction. Dave said to me the tracks for him are moving in this area. So maybe he's lying up somewhere here with them again. We'll just have to wait and see. Oh, big yawn. It's a cute face though. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful lions, these guys. Their coats are in perfect condition, which is really nice. Oh, and flop. I'm not surprised these guys are tired. It's been a busy day for them. Not only have they been killing and chasing buffalo during the course of the night, they obviously had an issue with impala where they killed one and ate that and fought and carried on and then walked and got water, and that makes a cub's life very, very tiring. Alright, well, it was a good way to finish up our kids' part of the drive this afternoon. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed it. Remember, you can still ask questions if you carry on watching. But for everybody else that's joining now, and for all of our adults, remember you guys can ask questions on #WildEarth or @FC on the YouTube chat, and we'll try and get through as much as possible. Remember just to keep it relevant to what you're seeing on the screen, and that will help in terms of us being able to answer them. But a nice way to start. I mean, we've already had crazy leopard sighting with the hyenas robbing a kill at Ngala, and then obviously these guys here. So it promises to be a good afternoon already, and it's really nice that we're going to get to spend a decent amount of time with the Talamati Pride. It's not a pride we get to see very regularly. They don't spend a lot of time on Djuma, normally to the north, and so that's going to be really, really nice in that regard, just to spend the afternoon with them and see what they get up to. Oh, look at this. Could you get any cuter? That's super cute. Now, I have a suspicion that we're going to end up seeing this pride a lot more over the course of this winter. I think they're going to venture into this area a lot. I was mentioning it this morning, is that there's a lot of buffalo that are coming from the north to the south into Djuma to utilize these big water holes that are on Djuma. And I think that's going to drag these guys a lot of the time to the south. And so it's a pride we're going to get to spend a lot more time with. Now, in order for us to spend a lot more time, we're going to need your guys' help in doing so. Obviously, this is a costly exercise, and so your support is really very, very welcome. You can follow the support link down below, and you'll be able to then help us out to be able to see if we can follow the pride through the course of this winter. It's going to be really interesting. Like I say, I envisage an interaction between them and the Nkuhumas at some point. It's got to happen. They're walking around the same areas, and so at some point something's got to break. And whether that interaction is going to be aggressive or not, I don't know. We do know that these prides have fed on carcasses before, both the Nkuhumas and Talamatis together. But now with cubs on both sides, it'll be a little bit interesting to see what plays out, and whether or not the fact that the Talamatis and their cubs, which are much older and bulkier, give the Nkuhumas a harder time. At the end of the day, the Nkuhumas do have more females with them. And it would be really interesting to see if Darkmane is present, what that causes within the pride as well. Because remember that Darkmane spends most of his time with Talamatis. He doesn't go to the Nkuhumas, in fact, hardly ever. I don't think I've ever seen him go with the Nkuhumas. It's more the Mohawk male and the blonde male, which I believe is with the Nkuhuma pride. They were at least yesterday, and their tracks were going to Simambili, and I know Dave's heading that way, and I know the guys from Simambili were looking to hopefully find the Nkuhumas this afternoon, which would be magical, because if we have the Talamatis and the Nkuhumas on the same drive, it would be really cool. But they have obviously more females, and if the two boys are there, plus the Darkmane here, and they all meet, it's going to be really, really, really interesting to see what plays out. Do the boys fight? Do the girls fight? Do the males get confused? Is it going to be, just a case where they all see each other, recognize, hang on a second, we all kind of from the same family at some point, and we've got cubs, and there's a lot to lose here, and just separate. So yeah, it's going to be a really, really interesting next few months, that's for sure. And like I say, as it dries out, we're going to start to see a lot more of these buffalo coming in, and that's going to suck the lions into similar areas, which is going to be an interesting kind of season, that's for sure. Alright, our lions are sleepy for now. They won't remain sleepy forever, I can assure you. They're going to move around at some point. I'm hoping that later this afternoon they're going to roar for us. And so while we be patient and wait for that, let's send you back across to andBeyond Ngala with the hyenas eating that impala carcass.
We had a couple developments while you were gone. So the one young leopard, the cub, came back and grabbed the stomach from the carcass and took that away, which is a little bit strange. Purely because, as I said earlier, the leopards don't eat the stomach, but you'll probably find because it is the only food that is left to them, it was the cub that came back and took it. It's just, hoping to get something. So when that happened, the hyena moved the carcass a little bit off here. He's still happily munching away there. Oh dear, no, we're just saying, doesn't look like he's going to leave anything behind. He's now eating one of the legs. You've seen every now and then it's going to lift up as he pulls. And now you can hear the crunching. So these hyenas have the strongest jaws. So what is crunching through there is almost like the hip bone. We got a question from River Wisp wanting to know, does the stomach lining or the bones have the most nutrients? Now River Wisp, I would say that the bones have more nutrients than the stomach lining. Stomach lining is just the stomach sac. The outside of the stomach, I would think it's probably very unnutritious. Where the bones, obviously got a lot of calcium. You go into the middle of the bones, you get that bone marrow full of calcium, exactly what the hyenas are actually not looking for, but that's what they like. Obviously, like this carcass, there's a lot of meat. River Wisp, so it's going to go for the meat rather. But just remember, hyenas are scavengers. So generally, when they get to a carcass, there's very little left besides bone. That's why they have adapted to get such strong jaws. They can crunch through the bone, like you've heard, to get to that bone marrow, to get the vitamins, the minerals, the stuff that they need to survive. You look at something like a lion, you look at something like a leopard, a cheetah, a wild dog. They don't have the jaw strength, the teeth strength to crack the bone, because they get all of their nutrients, all of their minerals, all of their sustenance from the meat, where the hyena doesn't often get that. And that's what it is. Everything out here has a place, and it's adapted to fit in that place. Hyenas scavenge. They've adapted to crunch bone. Their bodies can process the bones, the calcium, the bone marrow, things like that, to get the nutrients, kind of absorb everything that it needs just from that alone. That's why you often see hyena dung, or hyena scat rather, being very, very white, because of all the calcium, all of the bones that they crunch. Then you look at something like a lion, you look at something like a leopard, a cheetah, like a non-scavenging predator. Their dung's not white, it's actually very, very dark, very black. I don't know if you saw with Romance yesterday on his safari. I think Owen zoomed in on a pile of scat. Very dark. So we're going to keep watching this nervous hyena. You see, he keeps looking back. That's where the leopards are. We're going to stick with him for a while. Maybe pop on over, have a look at the leopards, make sure they're still there. While we're doing all of that, we're going to send you over to Twalu Kalahari, where they've got a small creature.
So here we've got a fantastic example of camouflage. We're not going to tell you exactly what it is until we start zooming in, and then you're going to see how beautifully camouflaged this little animal really is. Just keep watching, keep watching, keep watching. I don't know if you can see him yet. Look at that. Look at that. So that is called a ground agama. A-G-A-M-A. Ground agama. As some people have said, Barack Agama. I always love that one. That was very, very well spotted. Not by me. Genre, he's got all these eagle eyes on today. So we're hoping, we've been sitting here, and while we've been sitting here watching, we're getting these ants walking around just in front of him. And they will eat pretty much any of these little insects that they can catch, including ants, and up to the size of like large beetles. Now, I'm just trying to think what I can relate it to. A knife and fork, a fork and a knife, a normal cutlery set. That lizard is about the length of a knife or fork that you'd use for eating. That gives you some kind of indication of the size of him from that distance. But look how he's watching. He's watching things on the ground as well as keeping an eye on us. And they can, similar to chameleons, chameleons are the really well-known example of things that can change color. But these little animals can change color as well. Certainly not to the extent that a chameleon can, but enough to help them get by in the environment. And the males tend to get a brighter color during the breeding season. I'd be lying if I said if this was a male or a female. I can't tell. I'll need to hone up on my agama skills. My squamata. While we're enjoying this, please head over to David. I think they've got some elephants drinking from a dam.
Oh, what a beautiful elephant sighting. We've just made our way down to Simbambidi Dam. Found this herd having a little drink here. Always a pleasure to watch elephants drinking. It's just enjoy the sound of their trunks as they slurp up the water. Luna, you've asked, at what age are baby elephants able to swim? It's an interesting question. I'm trying to recall the sightings I've had of very young elephants in the water. To say I've actually seen elephants swimming, it's difficult to recall. seen a lot of babies in the water, but not really swimming, you know, not like treading water, crossing a river. I would imagine they could probably swim pretty early. I would guesstimate within their first couple of years. But I can't recall ever seeing very young elephant actually swimming in deep water. Elephants are phenomenal swimmers. They've been recorded kilometers off of shores in places like Lake Kariba and Lake Malawi, big bodies of water. But Luna, not 100% sure. It's a very interesting question. But they do love being in the water, that's for sure. Whether mud or water, elephants often indulge in a little swim. Splish splash, I was taking a bath on about a Saturday night. Interesting, I saw, let's see if we can see it now. I see there's a collar on that one female, the one that just turned away. Let me see if I can direct you to it, BK. Yeah, that one there. That one, I pointed it on the screen. See, there's a collar on her neck. Some of you may not have seen that before. It's quite common, actually. There's a lot of research being done on elephants. And because they move such incredible distances, they now have GPS collars that they can track them with. And it doesn't bother them at all. It hangs very loose on their neck. The process just involves darting the elephant, fitting the collar, doing some tests, checking its health, and then waking it up, and that's it. The elephant doesn't know any different, and they carry on with their normal activity. And the research has been very interesting what it's shown. It's shown different paths that elephants take, the distances they travel, and it's even shown interesting stats that people didn't expect, like how in some hotspots, especially Zimbabwe, Mozambique, where elephants have been poached and severely poached for a long time, you can see where elephants have started to avoid those spots, or when they move through those poaching hotspots and they like really speed up, they go quite quickly to get through it, and then when they get into a protected area they slow down again. So very interesting stats. But it sounds like there's some more action with Ngala and the leopard. Let's send you over there and see what's happening.
Inside. Okay, so we just had where Owen's shining there, or aiming down there, we just had the mother leopard. She was coming back out here to investigate, to see if there's anything there, see maybe the hyena went away, see if she can scavenge a bit more food. I can't see her anymore. I think she's gone back into the bushes there, but we still got the hyena here. He's still eating away. You'll probably see as we sit here, both leopards will start coming back every now and then just to investigate, just to see if anything fell off, if there's anything to scavenge, there's anything to have. Because they didn't eat much of their carcass. They both had a fair amount. Their stomachs are full-ish, but they're obviously still hungry. They obviously want more. So they were just coming back to investigate very, very carefully though, because as you can see here, the hyena is looking straight in that direction, exactly where the leopard was. So he's still watching them, so they're still going to be wary. The hyena will defend the carcass, he will fight the leopard. And you can see how much he's eaten there. You can see those two ribs, those been separated. He's been chewing on that, trying to get little bits, or trying to get every bit of meat that he possibly can. Now going back into the sort of hind quarter rump section, where it's a little bit easier, a little bit softer. can see his eating has slowed down. When he first had it, he was just constantly eating, chewing, breaking, ripping. Where now it's a lot more sort of specific. Really enjoys the legs. That's the shoulder area of the front leg. Lots of breaking, lots of ripping over there, because that's fresh. He just entered that area, just ripping it apart. That's why you can hear a lot more crunching, ripping the skin. Okay, it looks like we might get another view of the leopard in front of us. Your OD view should go straight over my head into that dark gap where the carcass was. Maybe just want to zoom out straight. Maybe a bit more to the right. A bit more right. Yeah, through there. If you zoom in there, maybe. Just keep watching. Yes, Sonny, I agree. Mama leopard does need to go shot at the hyena, but if you watch there, the leopard, I saw a leopard moving in there right now. Right in that gap, exactly where Owen's watching. But you see, what might have happened is the leopard is just waiting in there, watching the hyena. I can't see it right now. Yeah, no, I think let's go back to the hyena, and then if I see the leopard pop its head out, we'll come back and have a look at it. But yes, this hyena, but as I was saying now, it does look like it's slowing down. Maybe it's getting full. You never know, it might eat enough and then sort of wander off a little bit to have a look around and then come back. And hopefully when it wanders off, these leopards will just shoot and grab the carcass and take it up a tree. That would be ideal, because now the carcass is very light. This hyena's eaten 30% of it, 40% of it, so it's become a lot lighter, which would assist this light, small female leopard to carry it up the tree. Ngala female, she is not a big leopard. Not a very big leopard. So we're going to sit here, we're going to monitor, we're going to keep you guys updated. While we are watching all of this though, we send you back across to David, who's got a herd of elephants.
Well, we haven't moved at all. This has just been a great spot to sit. I love watching elephants drink. Actually, I love watching elephants do anything. They're always doing something. Something entertaining. Sometimes they're just standing in the shade. But even then, they're kind of funny. They'll sometimes rest their head on a tree and take a nap. Their huge ears fanning as they cool themselves down. Luckily, these elephants are at peace here, not like this morning where we watched buffaloes drinking and the hippo was so grumpy. There's a hippo way back in the corner. He's difficult to see now, but he's not doing much just across the way there. See, there's another safari vehicle also enjoying a game drive. And that hippo is just relaxing, not too fazed by these elephants. BK and I were having a laugh now. BK asked me, have I ever seen a hippo drinking water? It's a very funny question, because when do they actually drink water? Do they stand like a normal animal on the side and drink the water? Do they just decide now it's thirsty and open its mouth? Kind of a funny thought, isn't it? Great shots there, BK. Ooh, look at this young bull. Came down for a last quick drink. A little trot down to the water there. Isn't it bizarre how they drink, how they suck the water up into their trunks and then put it into their mouths? They get a lot of water in that way. Different books will vary on how much they get in their trunks. One book will say 4 liters, another book will say 13 liters. So I'm not exactly sure. Obviously depends on the size of the elephant, but irrespective, guidebooks vary in facts, but the fact is they do get a lot of water in. You can see when they spray water over their backs, it's quite a few liters of water that they can suck up into their trunk and then deposit it in their mouths. This young bull's squirting out every trunk full for everyone he drinks. They often do that. They will have a drink and then they'll spray another trunk full on their feet or over their back or besides them on the ground. It's almost like they suck up something that doesn't taste too nice and they squirt it out. Awesome. I'm thoroughly enjoying this elephant sighting, but sounds like Dylan's also enjoying his next find. Let's send you over to him and see what it is.
I'm so excited. We've got 2 baby Egyptian geese, 2 little goose goslings walking on the other side of this little pan over here. Remember I said that there was a report of lion in this area, so we actually just popped down to the water to see if we can find anything or any sign of them. And we've got these 2 little geese walking around. This is super cool. So they're Egyptian geese. And what I find absolutely incredible is they don't even nest necessarily close to the water. These little guys can nest hundreds of meters away from a water body. Sometimes it's up on a cliff face, sometimes it's in an old tree in a hollow. They've even been recorded nesting on top of you've got these large nests in South Africa called hummerkops, these birds, and they create a big nest, like the kind of the size of the bonnet of this car, sort of half moon shape, and they'll even nest on top of those sometimes. So I have no idea where this pair nested, but when they hatched, these little guys would have actually had to jump out of their tree or off the rock face and then follow the parents all the way back to wherever the nearest water body was. So I mean, we don't know what gauntlet they've run to actually get to this point. You know, maybe there were 5 chicks, maybe there were 6 or 7 chicks, who knows. But it's just so wonderful to see them there. And they're grazers, so that's what they're doing. So the one in the front will probably be drinking. That's exactly what it's doing. It's scooping water there. And then the 2 little ones with the other adult at the back, they're actually feeding on grass. So they'll be feeding on new shoots. They'll also eat things like snails and slugs and that if they get hold of them. Kind of like domestic geese, I guess, in a way. Okay, we're going to head over to Tristan on a quick link. He's got some lions that are moving.
We do indeed. I'm just a bit indecisive as to which way I want to go. If they're going to come out or if they're going to walk away from me. I think let's go this way. They're on the move, but in quite a tricky little spot. And I know of water in it, so I'm hoping they're going to come to that little pan to drink, but it's a bit of a gamble, I'm afraid, because of the nature of the terrain here. If they cross over, it's going to be tricky. It seems going to be a little tricky to actually see them. Sorry, Alex, I'm going to go around this way. So, unfortunately, these guys are moving through an area where there's a little drainage between us and them, and while I probably could get across somewhere, if they come back this way, it's going to be really tricky to actually see them. So what I'm trying to do is just catch up with them on this side, and see if they're going to come out here. What we were thinking is they were going to come out somewhere in this general vicinity. There's a kind of marshy sort of area here, and I'm hoping that they are going to come out. Let's just see. They should be coming out just to my right here. Where are you guys? What I might do, in case they've just cut over the drainage, I'm just going to quickly shoot in here and check. So I'm just going to go through, and so we're just going to quickly go. They are actually coming this way. The last time I saw them, they were moving in this direction, but you can never be too sure with lions. Sometimes they can look like they're going one way and then just change direction. And the thing is that we heard some Franklin's alarm calling, so I wonder if it's not the evoker male moving on the other side of the drainage that they're going to go investigate. They all had their noses up and then they went off. I do apologize if there's a bit of signal breakup here and there. Like I say, are in a bit of a tricky area. Early for the lions to be moving, though. Generally, this time of the day, you know, they're fairly stationary until it cools down, and it is a warmer day than it has been, but it seems like they're on a bit of a mission to go somewhere. No, they're definitely not coming in the way I thought they were coming. Here they are in front. So they're crossing over. I must just let Charles know. Charles, they've crossed this drainage line. I think it's going to be better for you to go around. I'm not sure we'll be able to get across here. But here's some of them just in front of us. So this is the cubs. The adults must be already over. The good news is that they're heading deeper into Djuma rather than out of Djuma, which is what I thought they might do. Their general direction this morning from that kill was kind of northeast, and I thought, we're not going to have them for long, but they're heading now in a more southerly direction, which is really, really, really good news for us. And so hopefully we're going to kind of be able to follow them for the majority of the afternoon. But that's the last one that's gone over. Now I've got to try and see if I can find a place to cross this very steep drainage. Dina, you're asking, does a pride ever join up with other prides? Should be interesting. But I'm just going to move out the way for two little cubs just to come past. Come on. Sorry, I didn't see you there. There we go. After you. Have to let them have right of way. You're not allowed to cut them off and separate them, so it's always better just to let them come past. Just be patient. Crossing down there is also going to be what I would describe as very interesting, but we'll attempt it just now, but we'll lose signal when we go down there, so I'm not going to do it just now. But sorry, Landeka, I forgot the question now, while I was so busy kind of moving. And I mean, there's more of you. There's another one coming. There we go. Does a pride join up with other prides? Sorry, Dina. I got a bit sidetracked there. So it is possible, but very, 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 very unlikely. Generally, prides are quite territorial, and so they're going to rather try and not join up with one another. They'll probably rather fight than actually kind of stick together, or come together and stay together. So yeah, very unlikely is the answer to that. Hello, little boy. Pretty. They're so much more relaxed this afternoon than they were this morning. Why is your mothers marching you around? And now you're going to sit here. No, we're going to go. I wonder why the mothers are marching them at this time of the day. I would have expected them to have been a lot more kind of sedate and not moving too much at all. All right, I'm going to try and negotiate this drainage line and see if I can get through. Like I say, it is incredibly steep, and I'm not sure if we're actually going to be able to do it. I'm also not sure if we're going to have signal. There's one more. All right, we're going to wait for this last little cub to come past us, and while... Oh, that's pretty, that light. So nice. Come on, little girl. Off you go. All right, it's going to disappear down below, and so while we sit here and figure out how we're going to follow them, let's send you off to David, who's got another one of the iconic big animals of Africa.
I've just come down from the dam wall. These elephants are so relaxed, they've slowly surrounded us. Got elephants on all sides. It's a lovely place to be. Just sit with a relaxed herd of elephants as they feed. To listen to that sounds, listen to that grass as they shovel it in. Anushka, you asked what is the foot structure of an elephant? I suppose you're referring to the bones. You may have heard how elephants walk very quietly in the bush. When they walk, it's very, very soft. They've got thick cushions in their feet, and they actually walk on their toes. If you see the bone structure of an elephant, the metacarpals, I suppose you could call them, the feet bones actually go at quite a downwards angle, which makes it look like from an X-ray viewpoint that they're actually walking on their toes, with the rest being filled in by thick tissue, which gives them a lovely cushion on their feet. Not only does it make them very silent when they walk, but I suppose it helps to absorb the impact of that many ton body. Several tons, 5, even 6 tons on these large bulls. This is a female, but she's also pretty big. Very large-bodied female. She actually looks like she's pregnant. Difficult to see from this angle when she turns. She does look like she's carrying. By the look at her calves that are accompanying her, the timing looks about right. She'll only conceive when her calf is around 3 years old. Making it quite a long cycle between, quite a long time period between her oestrus cycles. I believe they're only in season able to breed for a couple days, around 4 to 5 days. I think it's every 4 to 5 years. double check that exact time frame, but it's a very small window, and that's because they carry their baby for so long. Close to 2 years. Can you imagine being pregnant for close to 2 years? Obviously, it takes a long time to develop a baby elephant. Look how that front left tusk of hers is so worn down from being used as a tool to grind and to chisel. May have even broken at one point. And that bottom piece is smoothed out and worn down as she uses it during her feeding. Akila, you've asked why eat grass when there's so much green leaves around. Elephants actually prefer grass, Akila. The majority of their diets, especially in the summertime, is grass, up to 70-80%. So they are in favor of grass. So this is kind of the last of the grass they're going to get. You can even see that grass she's shoving in her mouth is a mixture of green and yellow. Grass is drying out now as we get into the dead of winter. So over the next couple months they'll be eating less and less grass as it withers and dies, and then they will turn to more browsing, which is the eating of leaves, selecting their favorite trees, as well as roots and bark. What a lovely spot to sit. Well, it sounds like the Talamatis are up and on the move again, so let's send you back over to Tristan.
They are indeed. We're just following slowly behind them. We heard some oxpeckers up in front, so we don't know what those are, but generally when you hear oxpeckers, it's a good sign that there's some sort of animal close by, and normally a prey animal. So something like buffalo, kudu, impalas. They'll find a lot of those kind of antelope attracts oxpeckers. This is all the little cubbies on our left hand side. They're all just sitting tight. Moms are just up in front, and the moms look like they're almost hunting. They've got a very different posture, and it's almost like the cubs have seen the moms and thought, okay, we need to just sit and rest. Moms are sniffing the air, listening to the oxpeckers, looking and scanning, and I wonder if they maybe have heard something in this block. So what I'm going to do is actually leave the cubs and go around and try and kind of go with the females instead. Like I say, the cubs will read off their mom's body language. If they see the moms are hunting, then they just lie down like this in the long grass and just stay still and wait. They know that they're not quite ready for hunting exploits just yet, and so it's better for them just to stay nice and still and take it easy. But isn't that the most beautiful light on these little ones? Cool to have lions walking around at this time and potentially hunting this time of the day. Normally it's darkness when they do. Jenna, well, it's very possible. The way the females are walking looks certainly like they're on the hunt at this stage. So, Alex, let's catch up with the females. I can see them through, and I can see their body language is one of looking rather than just kind of ambling. Often when these lionesses are like this, where they stop and they put their heads up and they sniff and their ears just face straight forward, you know that there's something going on. So just going to try and go very slowly. I also don't want to spook anything that might be up ahead here. You never know if there's some antelope or something, and you don't want to go bombing in as fast as you can, because that can definitely scare things off. So just to try and choose the least noisiest line that we can find. So far they've been good to us. They've walked in the best part of this area, which is really, really nice of them. Just going to go forward here, Alex. This is the problem with this grass, is the stumps that there are here. Alright, I'm going to try and just negotiate this little section and catch up with the lionesses who are way in front. In the meantime, let's send you across to Ngala with Sean, see how he's going.
We are still sitting with our hyena friend over here, who is still munching away very earnestly. He hasn't stopped for a break, hasn't done anything. He is just munching, munching, munching. Oh, he's got a little bit of sinew probably stuck there in his mouth that he's trying to get loose. You see now, because as he's eaten all of the meat, you know, the only thing that's left now is bones and bits of sinew. And you'll see every now and then he tries to swallow a piece of meat or a piece of bone, and the sinew sort of gets stuck down his throat. And every now and then he will try and sort of opens his mouth and moves his tongue around trying to dislodge that sinew so it doesn't get stuck. Oh, okay, so something exciting. The hyena is still eating, as you can see, but excitingly, it sounds like at Tswalu Kalahari they have found a lion. So we're going to send you over there.
It's very funny. We were looking at those Egyptian geese. And as we came around the bend to get a little bit of a better angle, a closer view of them, there was this big male lion drinking. I think this is obviously one of the ones that the other guys had said they'd seen tracks in the area. And he looks like he's going absolutely nowhere in a rush. I see the tip of his tail is missing. We can nickname him Tipsy. God, that's weak, but I couldn't resist that. A little bit later we can actually reposition. He looks incredibly full. So I'm guessing there's probably a kill very, very close by here somewhere, but we'll ferret around for that and see if we can locate it. This is a lovely surprise, I'm sure. From Egyptian geese to lions. Puma, currently we've got 2 lion prides on Tswalu Kalahari, and then we've got a number of these nomadic animals, and those are often your dispersal animals. You know, so when they get to 18 months, 2 years old, the males start moving. We've got 2 different coalitions as well. This is one of the big males. I'm not sure where his partner in crime is at the moment. He may even be close by, but we'll have a look around for them and see if we can find them. This, like I say, this one doesn't look like he's going to be going anywhere anytime soon. That's a view of a lion doing what a lion does best. One frequently hears that lions sleep up to 18 hours a day. It's not technically correct. I mean, lions will certainly rest for up to 18 hours a day, even longer sometimes. But they're not physically sleeping. got their eyes closed, they're not doing anything for 18 hours, but certain lying around, absolutely. And it's high energy gains for any of your predators. You know, either you feeding on high energy food items, protein. Well, while we're watching this male just relaxing, and we'll start looking for others, I think head over to Tristan with the lionesses on that side.
Well, we're with the cubs at the moment. I tried to get ahead to the lionesses, but the cubs just kept getting between us and them, and so unfortunately they have to take right of way, and so we just leave them to do their thing, which means we're right at the back of the pride again. So it's going to be a bit of a mission to get around to the front, past all these cubs. The problem is the cubs are just spread in these all directions, and so no matter how much we're trying to get around to where the females are, they just, like I say, are in the way. So I don't want to spook them and drive too close to them, and try and just kind of give them the space that they need to follow their mothers without cutting them off anywhere. But they're going to disappear now. That was the last cub that's there. So let's try and find the rest of them. You can hear the females are quite far in front of us, and seems like are following something. Like I say, every time I see them, they've got these ears pricked up and looking very intently forward. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to find them here in front. Luckily we've got another car with us, so they're able to also position themselves in a nice way. That helps us to be able to find them. Now, it's not a very easy area to negotiate this, I'm afraid. It's quite dense, quite thick. A lot of holes where elephants have been digging through the course of the last couple of years, and so we're going to just have to take it very, very carefully as we go. What I'm going to try and do, though, is try and get around the cubs and the pride and go quite far to the front of them. Right, so we're going to try and get to the front of these lines again, and let's hope we'll have more success this time. In the meantime, though, the guys at andBeyond and Ngala have had some success with a leopard this afternoon, so let's shoot you over to them.
Okay, we managed to find the cub again, this young female. She's just relaxing a little bit further. We may be 20 meters from the hyena. He's off in front of us. I can just see his ears. And this is the youngster. This is the one that was hiding, walking around in the bush that we try to see. And now you can see she's just laying down over here. But it looks like she ate a fair amount. I mean, if you have a look at her stomach there, as I was saying earlier, it's full. It might be why they're not contesting as much for their carcass, because they've got a fair amount of food, or at least she does. I haven't seen the mother since the hyena arrived, but the youngster at least looks well fed and beautiful. Very, very beautiful. We were commenting now, OD was mentioning how small her head is. It's a very small leopard. Her mother is also very, very small. The father is the Chambochi Tom. 9-year-old Anthony. Yes, lions and leopards do fight. Well, lions fight leopards. Leopards don't really fight back. You know, if a lion had to come now, this little leopard would shoot up a tree as fast as it possibly could. It would run away from the lions. The lions would kill a leopard. If they came across it, they would hunt it down, catch it, kill it. Probably not eat it, but just kill it, Anthony. So yes, they fight, but the leopard will avoid it at every single opportunity that it could, because it knows it cannot fight a lion. Lions just fight. It's like watching us. Now, what are you saying about lions? Well, they kind of... lions will hunt and fight everything. Be it hyenas, leopards, cheetahs, wild dogs, doesn't matter, lions will fight. What happens when you sort of the apex predator? Which is very sad. Very, very sad with this little one. We obviously don't want that to happen. I mean, look at the nose. Look at her nose. Very, very pink there through the grass. And that's just a sign of age. Okay, so we're just going to send you quickly back across to Tristan and his lions. Apparently they're doing something cool.
Right, they've just made a kill. They were hunting. We were following the lioness. Just caught something. So those of you that are squeamish, probably a good time to turn off. But they've caught something. Sounds like a warthog. Yeah, they've caught a warthog. There we go. So we were just behind the one lioness that was after it. Now I'm going to keep quiet so you guys can hear. Like I say, if you are sensitive, now's the time to turn off. Of you are saying, holy cow, or are shocked. I mean, we've had 2 warthog kills in a week. It just goes to show you that following lion prides, when they're on the hunt, their success rates are not bad, particularly with smaller animals. So we were trying to get to the front, and we were following one lioness who was right on the left, flanking these warthogs, and we tried to follow her. We saw her running, and we were trying to follow her and trying to get you guys to get to us because our radio is not working, so I'm trying to wave at the camera, but we got you eventually. It's crazy. But now, of course, these things, as I said with the Nkuhumas, it's always sad when a warthog gets killed, or any animal gets killed for that matter, but you can see a very different feeding strategy to the Nkuhuma pride the other day. These guys, because they ate this morning, not as hungry or as ravenous, and therefore not as ferocious in their attack of the warthog. The warthog has been basically suffocated before it's been eaten, so they haven't even opened it up yet, and now you're going to start hearing the growls and the roars as they start to come in to try and feed. It's a very similar sized warthog, but this was all basically one lioness suffocating, making sure the warthog's dead, and then they're feeding, unlike what we saw with the Nkuhumas the other day. What are the chances, though, that we get 2 warthog kills in a week, 2 different prides? Crazy. But you're going to see exactly the same situation as we saw the other day, jostling for position, everyone trying to find their area to be able to feed. And the sounds are going to be just out of this world again from the lions. Now that that kind of warthog scream has died down, which is very distressing to a lot of people, it's a heart-wrenching sound to hear, and they really are the ones that make the most noise out here. These guys now are going to take over from a lion point of view, and the lion noise is going to become incredible. So I'm not going to talk too much through this so you guys can hear all of these amazing sounds. Isn't the sound just absolutely unbelievable? So 50, you're saying it's a rough world out there for warthogs at the moment. It is. The lions are having a field day with these guys at the moment, and it's, like I say, there's always such a hard thing to talk about, you know. There's so many conflicting emotions in this. There's the pure power of these lions as they are able to subdue what is a tough, strong animal, but at the same time, you know, seeing any animal's life being lost is a hard thing, particularly that noise. Sitting here and hearing that scream is a really difficult thing, and I completely sympathize with those of you that don't like watching these kind of things, but you know, these kind of things unfortunately are nature, and it is something that happens. And while it is incredibly difficult to watch, as I mentioned with the Nkuhumas a while ago, these Telematis getting this meal that they've gotten here is part and parcel of nature, and we can learn things from this. The lead up to this hunt, the phenomenal way that they have positioned themselves, the way that there are these subtle communications between these lions in order to work out who's going to go where. And the only reason we knew that they were hunting is because one lioness came flying past us and her whole demeanor had changed, and she was flanking this in case the warthogs ran this direction. The cubs had all settled, as we were saying, and so it became this really interesting and fascinating look into the subtle communication of lions. There's no talking, there's no roaring, there's no visible sign that we can see, but yet they know what's going on, and they're descending on this carcass, and then the feeding process that takes place is absolutely unbelievable. To watch them fight over position, and the noise that you hear from the lions once the warthog is dead is a fascinating insight into nature's most raw and most, like I said the other day, polarizing events. Kills are incredibly polarizing. You know, there's on one hand, like I said, there's the power and the awe of a predator at its absolute best, and the second is obviously the heart-wrenching sadness that you get for an animal that is now died. It really is quite difficult. But what I'm going to do is we're just going to take an opportunity quickly to get round, because a much better view on the other side of this bush. I just try to get us in here as quick as possible. The warthog obviously came out of this mound here, and we would maybe, I would say, 5 seconds too slow in many respects. We were trying really hard to be able to get in and kind of get a sort of view of them hunting, but we unfortunately missed it. And what I'm going to do is, one of the guys was being very nice and saying we can come in between them, but I don't want to go in between them, so we're just going to go round a little bit, and we should get a really nice view from this side. It's going to be a little bit of a bump here, Alex, so just hold on. But what are the chances to get 2 kills in the space of a couple days is ridiculous, but that's better there. It's a much nicer view. Alex, is that better? Listen to this noise though. It is unbelievable. amazing, isn't it? You might be hearing all kinds of sounds that's taking place, from the growls to the tearing of the flesh to the chewing. It's just a sound fest when you have lions, and it's why I'm not speaking much. I think, sometimes you just got to let nature do itself. Between what you're seeing and witnessing and the sound is more than what I even need to say. And as this meat gets less, you're going to hear the crescendo of these guys feeding is going to get louder and louder, and the fighting going to get more and more. I'm half expecting the Avoca male to arrive as well. Milton know very little table manners, although these guys are far better behaved, should I say, than what the Nkuhumas were the other day on their kill. The Talamatis have got much better table manners. They're far friendlier to one another. If you remember the Djuma Pride from a few days ago, when they were on the warthog, it was massive hysteria. They were fighting and snarling and smacking each other, whereas these guys have been a lot more civil towards one another, and actually took a lot longer for them to start feeding than what you saw from the Djuma Pride. So the difference between the two prides is quite nice to kind of see how they go, and I'm pretty sure it's because the Djuma Pride the other day was very hungry, whereas this pride ate this morning, and so that means that they're able to kind of not be as vicious towards one another. The bellies aren't as empty, and that hunger is not as much. But just listen to this. They try and swallow meat and growl at the same time, and they start to huff and puff a little bit. This will still not be a huge meal for these guys. Their bellies still won't be full, so I wouldn't be surprised they groom themselves, go and get water again, and then hunt again after this. Like I said, it's a lot of mouths to feed. These cubs are getting bigger, and so things like impalas and warthogs, which they've eaten today, are going to just be a sort of drop in the ocean. They need a much bigger meal than that. Something like a wildebeest, a zebra, a kudu. Those would be the kind of things that would really fill this pride up. So, Cassandra, you're asking if there's a specific reason why lions would be growling like this. There's a very specific reason, is that they are trying to tell the others. They're trying to tell the others that you're too close, get away, this is my piece of meat. I don't want you near my meat. This is mine. I'm fighting for it, because they know that every bit of meat is valuable to their survival. And that goes from a cub to an adult, and so that's what the growling is about. They've got their mouth on a piece of meat, and they're growling at the others that are feeding next to them to say, you're too close, you're eating my share of this kill, go away. And when the growling intensifies like that, and it means that the one is encroaching too close, and then they start to go at each other, and that's when you see those lashing out of paws and biting at each other. That's a warning to say, go away, this is mine. And like I said, as the meat gets less, so this growling is getting more, because the competition for a space there and access to the meat is getting less and less. You can see there's two now that haven't got anywhere near it, and they're trying to worm their way in order to try and get something and be able to share in this carcass. Now, I think the reason why the Nkuhumas were so much more aggressive and so much louder at their carcass was because there was there was more adult females. So you see, it's the adult females that are fighting. So the Nkuhumas was the same thing. Remember, there's 6 adult females with the Nkuhumas, and so they were having a real go at each other. Isn't this just insane? Wow. So, I have followed lions a lot with my time at WildEarth, many hours, maybe not as much as leopards, but I have followed them a lot, particularly in places like the Mara, and this is the first 2 warthogs that I've seen being killed by lions on Djuma after 4 years. So to have them both in a week gives you an idea of how lucky we have been as a collective to see this. And it's like I say, just a bit of patience and perseverance. Patience and perseverance, and eventually it pays off. You know, we had very quiet days for 10, 11, 12 days where we struggled, and then Dave kind of broke our bad luck run when he found Hukamuri, and since then we've just been on a roll with leopards on kills, lions making kills, and it's been fascinating to watch, and we've really been spoiled in terms of rarity of sightings. While these are difficult, and wouldn't necessarily say spoilt in that you want to see something die, but to witness this behavior and to witness hunts and to witness kills and feeding behavior is not a common thing. We don't see it all the time with lions, but to have seen it, we had them this morning feeding, this afternoon feeding. It's pretty insane to have watched this whole thing take place. Look at that, it's just heads getting in there. It's a surprise that they don't bite themselves more. So 50, you say crazy but exciting. I mean, yeah, for some it's exciting. For me, like I say, I don't know if exciting is the right word for me personally. I think it's very intriguing. That would be something I would say, and it's certainly a window into a very complex world that goes out here, and it really does show us the fragility of nature and how from one moment to the next things can really change. And so while it's difficult and while it's not easy to see, there is an element of sheer awe that you have when you watch something like this. Like I say, it's an incredible spectacle to be able to see lions feed and to watch them go about their business. They are efficient and ruthless when they get their chance. Now, they obviously don't always catch what they hunt, but it seems like when they, lately when they get anywhere near warthogs, they are just destroying them. And it's probably due to the fact that there's a number of females in both the prides we've seen hunt warthogs this week. The more females you've got, the easier it's going to be, particularly with something like warthogs surround the mound and the warthog's got nowhere to go. With the leopard, it's a little harder because it's just them by themselves, and so warthog kills for leopards are a little bit tougher. They're also not as big and as strong. These guys are much tougher animals, and so to see the sheer power and calculation on display, that for me is incredible. But the actual sort of dying of the animal, not so much. Right, in complete contrast to this sighting of these guys, it sounds like David has had some luck with the pride that we've been talking about in relation to these guys.
Present to you a bundle of Nkuhuma. Just legs and heads and ears, just one big fluffy cuddle puddle of lions. Like one of the viewers said the other day. Just bodies. What a cool sighting and what a cool day for lions. It's really been fun-filled day of lion interaction. What incredible sighting Tristan had there. We're way on the other side of the reserve. We're on Simbambili again. And the Nkuhumas seem to be laying up. Those cubs are busy suckling at mom. A couple are sleeping, but a couple are still drinking. Although I don't think she is mom to all of those cubs, by the looks of it. There's a couple different age groups there. I don't know these lions too well, but I assume there were 2 different litters, maybe a couple months apart. The youngest, maybe around 4 months old, and the oldest a couple months older than that. But what's interesting about lion is that they all suckle. All the females in the pride that have cubs will suckle all the cubs, irrespective of whether it's their own or another female's. So that's why you often see different age groups of lion suckling on the same female. Tristan, sorry I didn't quite get your name there. You asked how far am I from Tristan? Well, as the crow flies, we are probably, what do you reckon, BK? 6 kilometers? 10 kilometers? 6. Not actually 100% sure where Tristan is. I know he's on the eastern side of Djuma. But if I had to drive there, it would probably take me about 20 minutes. Very interesting how they allow suckle like that, or how different mothers will allow different offspring to suckle on her. I think Djuma has given me an update. There's 4 different litters in the pride. That makes sense because the age groups appear to be very varied. I'm just looking at the ones that are still suckling. There's noticeably older cubs around the vehicle, but I'm talking specifically about these ones that are suckling here. They will suckle with different females, and I think the reason for that is that it allows, I suppose it increases the success, and all the females are generally related, so whether it's one female's offspring or another that survive, it increases the strength of the pride. So it's in everyone's best interest, and perhaps that's the reason that they don't mind suckling another lioness's offspring. But from very lazy lion, it sounds like Tristan's lions are grumbling and growling at each other, no doubt, over the scraps of meat. Let's go over to him and see what's happening.
Well, growling I think is a slight understatement. It's warfare. We even had one of the lionesses actually roaring for a little bit, so it's just been chaos. And we have the most epic scene. Not only these guys feeding, but there's a sunset in the background. I will say that there's a bit of a car that's going to stick into the shot a little bit. Alex is going to try to do his best not to have it, but there is this incredible sun that is setting down, and then these lions that are underneath it feeding. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, obviously not beautiful, the lions eating, but the sunset itself is really pretty. But it's really interesting how one lioness, the one with the injury, she got bullied off of this kill quickly. You hear her calling? I don't know if you can make it out behind all of the noise. But she's roaring, but not full-blooded roars. It's these kind of low contact calls that she's making. And I don't know if it's because the male is somewhere close by, or she can see him, or if there's a female that's potentially missing. I'm not sure. I can count 1, 2, 3. There's only 4 females here that I can see at the moment. No, there's 5 females. There we go. They're all 5 are here. Ian, much like most cats, is very opportunistic, so it really depends on what they're actually feeding on. So in terms of the number of kills, it depends on the prey that they've got. I mean, you can see this lioness that's standing up. Her stomach is not full by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, she's literally still got a huge amount of space left in her stomach. And so I suspect that they're going to hunt again tonight. If they were to have caught a buffalo, then they won't hunt again. They're going to just kind of settle down. But if there's opportunity to hunt, and kill more, they certainly will. To give you an idea, I had the 2 southern evokers, so the evokers that occur in the southern part of the Sabi Sands. We had them one night kill 7 buffalo, and only eat 1 of them. So it gives you an idea of just kind of how many they can kill. It's just opportunity based. Even if they're not hungry, there's an opportunity to feed. They take it. It's just crazy. Like I say, to have had this twice in a week is just insane. But look at the teeth and how they get bared. Absolutely unbelievable. And as you say, a snarly party or a smiley party, I didn't quite get exactly what you said, but most definitely it is at this stage. These guys are having a lot of snarls and carrying on that is happening, and I'm not surprised, to be honest with you. I expected them to be fairly snarly, given what is going on at this stage of the game. I don't know if you can hear those calls in the background. You hear that? See how they're responding. This is just crazy. I think the male is around and they are calling and responding to him. But if he comes in here, he will probably run in with a bit of force to try and see if he can get anything. But he's going to be late to the party, I'm afraid. There's going to be very little left at this stage. Isn't this just insane, though? It really is just absolute chaos when these things get killed. It's amazing just to see the sheer ferocity in their feeding patterns. Right, while these guys continue to fight and we see if they start to roar again, let's send you over to Ngala with the Leopard, which I'm sure is a lot more peaceful than this.
the mother leopard in the most beautiful position that you could ever ask for. You'll see now as OD zooms out. It's just incredible. Mother leopard perched beautifully across this tree. The youngster directly underneath her. The mother's been struggling though quite a lot. There you can see the white of the youngster down there. She is, sorry. But the mother keeps moving, keeps shifting. She's struggling there to get a good position on that branch. She was, when we first came around the corner again, she was facing the other direction. So her head was where her tail is, and her tail was where her head is. And she didn't find that comfortable enough. And so she switched. Oh, look at that. Just beautiful. You can see that branch obviously looks a bit dead, hollow and caved out and dense and all of that. And she's just trying to shift around there, which is making beautiful viewing for us. Look at that stunning face. Doesn't really get more leopard than this. I'm going to keep quiet and just listen. You can hear the hyena crunching. Well, actually, while we're sitting here, we have some. Oh, there's 2 hyenas there now. But what I was going to say is, we have some incredibly exciting news to share with all of you viewers, because we know just how much you love the andBeyond and Ngala ranges faces. Now we thought what we're going to do is give you some more beautiful andBeyond faces to look at. And the exciting news is tomorrow morning from the Sunrise Safari, we will now also be operating out of andBeyond Pinder. And it's just really, really awesome. andBeyond Pinder, a beautiful reserve down in KZN, very close to Durban, and it is going to be such a wonderful addition to the WildEarth setup. It's going to be incredible. So make sure you tune in tomorrow morning for the debut of andBeyond Pinder and everything that they have to offer. It's going to be incredible. But for now, I mean, what a perfect end. Well, not end, we still got a while to go, but what a perfect evening. We got leopards with carcasses, we got hyenas stealing it, we got lions eating warthogs at Djuma, we got Pinder joining us tomorrow, rather andBeyond Pinder joining us tomorrow at Tswalu Kalahari. Sure, they've had some really exciting stuff as well. But what day is it? Saturday. Whatever, you watch carefully here, you might actually see a hyena come out, because there's one eating. There's one hyena eating, and the other one might come straight out of this gap here on the right, because he's going to investigate where the carcass was. That hyena can now smell the leopards, and he might come and investigate to see if the leopards have anything left over. Maybe. You can see how now the mother's staring into that bush, the youngster staring into the bush. They can hear that hyena smelling around there. It'll be interesting to see if he does pop out of there. Oh, looks like he may have turned around if you judge by the mother in the tree, gone back to sleep. You know, put her head down and just resting again. But incredible, I mean, what a day. Just the I don't even know the word for it. Just the excitement of what has happened. And we've had so many things going on. It's been such a busy afternoon. It is just phenomenal news about Pinder, and you should all be, andBeyond Pinder, and you should all be very, very excited. It's an incredible reserve, incredible place, beautiful animals. And that's where all of our andBeyond Ranger training happens. It's all based out of andBeyond Pinder. So they'll have a lot to tell you all. But while we do the difficult job of sitting here and watching these beautiful leopards, we're going to send you back across to, I think, Djuma with the lions.
Well, it is incredible news that Pinder will be joining tomorrow. It's just going from strength to strength at this stage. Pinder is an incredibly diverse area as well, and again, another contrasting ecosystem to what we have in some respects. There's some really beautiful parts to that reserve, and it's going to be super interesting having them join in with us again. So looking forward to that. Well, not again, but for the first time, should I say. The addition of Ngala has been amazing, as well as Swali Kalahari, and now to have andBeyond Pinder with us as well is going to be super, super cool. But I love the fact that in many ways our little Djuma has also just been so good to us this week. I love the fact that Djuma is it often, for me, boxes out of its kind of weight category in a lot of respects, in terms of the area that we're in is fairly a small section. If you take a kind of cross section of the entire Greater Kruger ecosystem, we're in a very small percentage of that ecosystem. Yet the things that go on this property, for some reason, is just a magnet for amazing sightings. And I mean, this is evidence of what we're actually witnessing, from this to the kill we had to Tundi chasing ground hornbills. I mean, this week has just been absolutely off the charts in many respects. So it's a wonderful little place to have really gotten to know very intimately over the course of the last 4 years, or 3.5 years now. But you can still hear the odd little roars every now and then, and they don't sound like full-blooded roars. It's almost contact call roars than it is full-blooded ones. But it's been nice to kind of hear them in the background, and I'm hoping, like I say, that the male does arrive at some point. What's been really interesting is to see how much better the lionesses have been with their cubs than compared to the Nkuhumas. The Nkuhuma pride that Dave's with, those lionesses took nothing from the cubs. They didn't back down for 1 second, and they just really were the ones that kind of tried to dominate, whereas in this case, the lionesses have, 3 of them are off the kill completely, have moved off, and 2 of them aren't even actually feeding. It's the young ones and the cubs at this stage that are the ones that are in there and eating all of this meat. So it's almost like they've resigned themselves to the fact that these little monsters need to eat, and so they're going to just let them go as crazy as they want, and they'll then maybe try to find something a little bit later again, because none of the females are full. They all have fairly empty tummies. In fact, they've just got more blood on them than they actually got food, that's for sure. Tree frog, 100%. I mean, I've heard that many times from many different people, including professional people, that say that lions don't hunt in the day. As you can see, both kills we've had this week have been daylight, strong sunlight. So they do very much hunt during the day, particularly in winter. Summer it does slow down a little bit. Our summer here is too hot, too quickly, that they really do slow down a bit in summer. But in the winter months, it's cool enough for them to be active fairly late into the morning and fairly early in the afternoons, and they do really hunt a lot. If you go up into the Mara ecosystem, East Africa, Serengeti, Mara, there you see lions hunt middle of the day. The temperature, while it does get warm, it's not as hot as it is here in the summer. It's more like our winter in terms of the maximum temperatures. And the lions are, I mean, you see more hunts, I think, during the middle of the day than you do at night in the Mara in some cases. Maybe not when the migration is there, but outside the migration, a lot of hunting takes place during the day. I mean, I saw a lot of hunts in the Mara middle of the day. So they do hunt during the day. And like I said, they're opportunistic creatures. Any chance they get, they will take it, and particularly in big prides like this. I mean, this is not a small pride. These guys are a big unit, and therefore need a lot of food to be able to feed these ever-growing cubs. And it's only going to get worse for this pride. And so this constant hunting game that they're in is very important for them. The other really important part of this particular kill, and this morning's kill, which is going to be good for us viewing the Talamati pride, is that they've made a kill this morning, and they've made another kill this afternoon on Djuma, and have not been accosted by males. They have not been accosted by hyenas, and so for them, these are just indications that hunting here, one, is successful for them, and two, that they're not getting any pressure from other predators or other prides, and that means that we probably should see them going in the future, which is really, really intriguing. And of course, if you do want to watch these guys as we go forward, remember we do need your help and your support. So if you follow the link below, if you'd like to help us out and follow the progress of the Telematis and the Ngala Pride and even the Torchwoods. Crazy to think, all three prides in the area we've had in 24 hours, which is madness to me. You know, we sometimes have had lion droughts here where we haven't seen lions for long periods, and like I say, in 24 hours, or in fact 12 hours if you really, 24 is probably a better example, is that we've had Nkuhumas, Torchwoods and Telematis, which is amazing. Very, very, very cool. Donald, yes, she is. She's just like the Nkuhuma female, so that's why a lot of people get confused with these prides, is because both of them have a lioness with a damaged eye that has this white-purple kind of color to it. What happened to her eye, I'm not 100% sure exactly what the situation is with her and how she got it, but she is one of the older lionesses. If you look at her teeth, you can tell she's older. You see the teeth are a bit worn. They're not as sharp and as pointy as they should be, as well as the fact that they're quite yellow. Lions' teeth start to yellow as they get older and wear, so it's maybe just a sign of age a little bit that her eye has gone like that, or she's picked up an injury. It looks almost like there's a little cataract there. Actually, one of the guys that's in the sighting with us is one of South Africa's leading ophthalmologists, so I'll ask him what his opinion is of this and what he actually thinks it is, and he can let me know. He was the one that told us about Hukumuri's eye and the exact extent of that injury, and said to us that Hukumuri won't recover his sight in that eye, which has proven to be pretty true. That eye didn't heal and come right after it was injured. So yeah, and like I say, Nkuhuma's same thing. She probably has very limited vision out of that eye. It's going to be very cloudy and thickened, and so it's not going to be good. But that doesn't mean that she can't hunt. She was the one that was injured, and this one were the first two that grabbed this warthog when we got her. They were the two that were on it. So it just goes to show, the other day with the Nkuhuma Pride, that lioness with the damaged eye, she was the one that grabbed the warthog. This afternoon, this one was also here with the warthog too. So even though they've got these damaged eyes, it makes no difference when it comes to hunting for these guys. They're still able to work things out. They've got whiskers, they've got ears, they've got an eye that still works, and so it doesn't hinder them at all. They really are still able to be fully functioning members, and in a lot of cases, because of their seniority, are huge valuable resources for the rest of the pride to learn from. But wasn't it just fascinating when we look back in hindsight how we started to see the process change? Females up and moving, then them stopping and watching, cubs starting to hang back and sit, females starting to spread out, females then running to get into positions, and then the execution of the kill and the cubs way back so that they don't interfere. Absolutely phenomenal, and it goes to show that this has happened a lot with this pride, and the cubs really do understand their role within the group at the moment. They know that they need to be at the back if they're walking through, and they could read that body language of those females instantly. They went from walking behind single file to just sitting and waiting and watching the females, and as the females moved a little bit, so they caught up. Females moved a bit and they caught up, and eventually then the kill was made and they were able to reap the benefit of it. It's amazing to watch lions in that regard, and like I say, the subtle clues that they must get, it's unnoticeable to us as people. We don't see what they see, but for them there's subtle differences in posture, ear position, those kind of things, and that's all the communication they need in order to make a successful kill like this, which to me is fascinating. That's for sure. Alright, we've had lions with David, we've had lions with us that have been causing havoc, we've had lions with Dylan in Swalo Kalahari, so let's send you to Swalo Kalahari and see what he's up to and what's going on.
Yeah, so we just spent a little bit of time trying to locate the rest of the pride. I mean, we got that male that was just absolutely flat dog, not going anywhere. So we just spent a bit of time ambling around here, and we eventually located these lionesses. I think there's a young male here as well. think this one closest to us is a young male, and I think the one on the far left, I'd have to wait for them to get up to see properly. And they are all round as barrels as well, so they must have a killer around here somewhere. So we'll just keep our eyes open. Again, it's getting nice and cool now, so they may get up and go to the water. Where we saw the male earlier, he's very, very close to the waterhole from where these lionesses are lying, or these animals are lying. It's probably straight line, 150, maybe 200 meters from here. So we can just stick with these little guys. We also saw the coolest, biggest puff adder while we were looking for them as well. Just an amazing snake, gorgeous colors, just actually slithered under a bush, and then he was hiding under a bush, I think just going, getting ready for the evening. Yeah, so there's a lot of life around this site. There should be another big adult male around close to where we are here. It's always exciting seeing lions though. There's that thrill of, that people have of a big predator. Neil, my experience over the years with big male coalitions. Yeah, we've had a number of different coalitions, through Swallow over the years, and I think one of the key things with coalitions, and depending on the size of that coalition, it could be 2, it could be 5, 6. They really swing, in many instances, really swing the favor into they swing the hunting in the lion's favor when it comes to large dangerous prey, buffalo, giraffe, elephants, even young elephants are taken by lions. And when you get your coalitions, that really swings it in the lion's favor. And we've seen that a number of times on Swallow. We've got antelope here called eland, these massive eland bulls. They can actually weigh more than an adult buffalo sometimes, and or let's say the same as an adult buffalo. Dangerous prey, and very often when your males are involved, that's when they get taken down. But again, just because you've got a coalition of males, it doesn't mean that they will necessarily be successful. There's plenty of accounts of giraffe even killing lions through kicking when they get attacked. And in terms of breeding, the bigger the coalition, the longer the likelihood is that they'll actually be able to hold on to a pride, the pride tenure. And there's lots of interesting facts about, or interesting facets about lion ecology in terms of males and coalitions. Dylan, great name by the way, I just want to put it out there. We've got 2 key prides on the reserve, and then a lot of nomadic animals that move between them. And so we've got 2 set prides, but then those nomadic animals, it could be young males, coalitions of young males that move together, and they're actually functioning as a pride. 2 lionesses are functioning as a pride. So, to go on our recognized prides, what we call the South Pride, which we're looking at here, and the North Pride, there's 2 of them, but then there's a number of these other loose groups moving around as well. And that number can vary, if one's being killed, or they're joining up with another group, or forming another pride. I think this lioness is kind of getting ready to head down to the water. If you compare their demeanor and their state of readiness compared to those cheetah that we were watching yesterday, Remember how alert and how nervous those cheetah were the entire time they were feeding. And even when they were not feeding, they're lying down, heads up, looking, constantly looking. A baboon called in the distance, they actually sat up. You can see these cats are just like, nah, we kind of near the top of the food chain. Yeah, we're not going to get too bothered about anything. Another interesting observation, and listening to our colleagues down in the Lowveld there, they've just had some amazing sightings over the past couple of days with lions. But one of the interesting things that I've seen is you'll get a scenario where lions are looking like this. Their bellies are absolutely stuffed. They're not moving. And typically we'd say as guides, well, yeah, these lions aren't going to hunt. They're not going to go out. They certainly won't hunt actively. But if they're lying sleeping and you get an antelope, maybe let's say moving down to the water, and it didn't see these lions or didn't smell them, it was approaching from downwind, had no idea these lions were here, and the lions picked up on it, they would absolutely go into hunting mode. And that hunting mode could just mean literally that they take up position for an ambush rather than actually physically stalking an animal. So lions cannot resist going for something if it's within striking distance. We're going to go over from sleeping lions and see what Tristan's lions are up to with the remains of the warthog.
Well, still eating, still growling, still grumbling and rumbling. The females aren't eating, but the young ones are still going crazy. As you can see, we've gone into infrared because it's just getting too dark now. But it's really been fascinating to watch how the females have hardly eaten off of this carcass. 3 of the females got up and left. They, I think, were disgusted with the fact that they got so little. And so maybe they've gone off to carry on. You can hear them behind these guys just contact calling every now and then. But 2 of them have stayed behind with the cubs, which is needed. They need to stay behind because if anything like hyenas arrives, oh, look at the one getting groomed. It's stopped now, it's super cute. They're going to get groomed now because they're all covered in blood. So once they're finished eating, the moms are going to take care of them and make sure. Is that little Stumpy? No, it's not Stumpy. I don't know what we're going to call that lion. We're going to have to come up with some sort of a little nickname for him. We'll have to get hold of James Henry. James comes up with the funniest ones. I still love Not Ned. Not Ned is great for Gachava's cub. So we'll have to see what he can come up for with our little short-tailed lion that we've got. But you can hear now the growls have settled a little bit, and it's more just kind of chewing that we're hearing and heavy breathing. John, again, it's really difficult because it depends on the size of the pride, depends on males who are present, females, but let's say in this particular instance, I reckon maybe another 15 minutes, 15-20 minutes, and there'll be nothing left here. You can already see the ribs there. They're onto the spinal area, the legs are being torn off, so there won't be much left now. There'll still be the head, but these guys won't be strong enough to crunch through the head bones on this warthog. They'll have to wait for the females will have to wait, and they'll grab that. So maybe another 20 minutes or so, and then I think they'll leave it and go and look for water again. Interesting that the other females got up and went straight back to the west, as though they were going back towards Buffelshoek Dam. So I'm intrigued to see which way these guys end up going when they leave this kill, if they go back into Torchwood or go north into Buffelshoek or just go to the dam and end up lying up there. I suspect, though, that these lionesses are not done for the night. I think they're going to be hunting again soon. They are all not looking full at all. They all have very skinny tummies, so I think they're going to be on the lookout for food for themselves now that the little ones have had really good feed. She's done. She's waiting for them to finish up. Well, girls, you did incredibly well, that's for sure. Been a successful day for this pride. 2 kills in a day. Not every day that you see that. Pretty special work from from the girls to feed their cubs. It's been a really successful pride this actually in the last few months. They have done incredibly well with these cubs. And as much as, I'm not the biggest fan of the evokers in terms of, I just, generally I'm not a huge fan of male lions anyway. Not because they're not amazing creatures, but just because it's not my favorite animal. But you've got to hand it to the evokers in some respects that they have done incredibly well with their offspring. They haven't really been tested that hard yet, but they have been successful and they've mated, they've produced offspring. Those offspring seemingly have been well protected, given that they are all pretty much surviving. There's very few cubs that have been lost under the evoker rule. And the prides are big at the moment. You look at this pride 14, you look at the Nkuhumas 14. Well, actually, sorry, the Nkuhumas are, 16? So, that's a lot of lions that the evokers are looking after at the moment, and they seem to be doing really well in that regard, which is a good thing. Okay, our lions are going to continue feeding. I don't think much is going to change, but we'll hang around here just in case we see anything like hyenas arriving or something like that. And while we wait, let's send you over to Ngala with the leopard.
So our predators are a little bit more lazy than the lions. We still got the female. She is just relaxing up here in the tree. She's been shifting around quite a lot, but she seems to have got herself a comfortable position. Still very alert though. She's not sleeping. If you see her eyes very open, ears are moving. There's been a lot of hyena activity. We've had a lot of hyenas calling, a lot of whooping noises. When it happens again, I'll keep quiet. Still got the hyena crunching in front of us. I think he's now, there must be just skull and horns left of that impala. Otherwise, what we've been doing is just really enjoying the noises. The youngster, the little female, she is now crossed behind us and is sitting in the longest grass she could find. I think she's actually trying to get away from the flies. Something piqued the mother's interest there. I don't hear anything. I don't see anything, obviously not too bothersome. That's why she's now relaxing a little bit again. But just remember now we're getting into the predator's active time. So we've got a question from James Richard wanting to know what happened to Ngala female's brother. Now I believe he's just left the property. Yeah, we think, James, that he must have gone further east off of Ngala. I mean, we haven't seen him. That was just before I arrived here at andBeyond Ngala. He left already. But from what I understand, yeah, he crossed out over the eastern boundary somewhere. But I mean, her mom, the Ngala female's mother, was black dam female. And she had the Ngala female and her brother. Then she had another litter, and then she had the Makoti male, she had two other litters, and then the Makoti male, which is the other young male leopard that we see around here still. So, I mean, she's done very well, and it's so fantastic. So this little female that we've been seeing here, the cub, is the Ngala female's first litter. This was her first cub, and she's done really, really well. I mean, the cub is now over a year old, just a couple of days, but it's over a year old, which for a first-time mother is very, very impressive. Because leopards have a very tough time, because they're solitary animals. They have hyenas, like we just saw, stealing their food. That's very tough for them to have successful litters. Her mother, she lost 2 litters when I was here. So for her to be a first-time mother, the Ngala female, keep her cub alive, is fantastic. And it's really awesome for us as well that it's a female. Because the fact that it's a female means that the cub will stay here. it's going to stay on andBeyond Ngala. It will form a territory or take over a bit of the Ngala female's territory, will take over that, and then stay here, which is fantastic news for us. You know, you get to know these animals, and the fact that she's going to stay is really, really awesome. You know, all males will leave, just like this Ngala female's brother left. So it's awesome. We love it when the animals give birth to females. It just means we get to spend a lot more time with them, especially when they look as beautiful as this. I mean, it's just, I was chatting with OD now, and it was such a perfect afternoon. So much happening, and then just to end off so relaxed like this. The mother lounging very comfortably in the tree. Hyenas cracking bones in the background. It's just the perfect atmosphere. I mean, look at that. Oh, incredible. And this is my job, people. This is my job. I mean, it could be worse. If I keep quiet now, I can actually be able to hear the hyena. So we got a comment from Anine Woos saying that it is just so calm. And Anine Woos, it is just so calm. It's just so pleasant and relaxing. This is the parts of the, well, I mean, I enjoy all parts of my job, but this is the one part of the job that I love, is just actually sitting and spending time with the animals. Even if they're not doing anything, they're just sleeping on the tree like this. But just to sit here and hear the noises and the birds and the hyenas and the owls and everything calling and moving and starting to wake up, and just peeing around the leopard in the tree doing exactly what leopards do. It doesn't get sort of more leopard iconic than this, than a leopard just relaxing in the tree while her older cub sleeps on the other side behind us. Crystal, that is very true. It is exactly like the branch was just made for her. She's sitting perfectly on that little curve there, and it's very comfortable. We were hoping, me and OD and Romance were talking, we were hoping that the cub was going to go sit on that little section of the branch there. So we had the cub there and the mother there, and then we would have just cancelled the rest of the show, because you're not going to get better than that. But what we're going to do, we're going to stick around here and dream and watch the sleeping leopard. While we do that, we'll send you across to Tswalu Kalahari to have a look at their sleeping cats.
We're just watching the most magical sunset. And a sleeping lion. So the kill, we eventually found out, I still don't know what it is, but he's directly behind him, tucked into that thicket. I don't think we're even going to get a good idea with a camera. There was just like bits and pieces that we could see sticking out there. So I'm not quite sure what that is. Yeah. Oh well, at least we know it's an animal. And again, look at that belly. Completely unconcerned. Love the way his paws over his mouth. Probably fell asleep licking it. What's a big cat, eh? And you can see how dark the mane is. On the top, the manes are normally lighter on the top like that. but around the sides and the flanks it becomes very, very, very dark, like coal grey, almost black. So we're going to just carry on enjoying this incredible sunset here. The colours are sublime, so peaceful, but in the meantime head over to David and his lines are on the move.
Well, the nkuhumas are up and on the prowl, perhaps looking to see if they can find their own meal. Been a lovely afternoon with them. The cubs are so playful. And overall, what a fantastic day for Lion. It was like International Lion Day out here. Cindy Lou, you say it's a Saturday, yes. It is. Oh, look at this little youngster got left behind. Mom's calling for it. Come with us, come. Don't get left behind. It's a good lion, mother. And there they go, as they melt into the darkness. Who knows what's in store for them this evening? An adventure lies in wait, I'm sure of that. Looks like they're hungry. So perhaps they hunt. Slowly back up here. Always want to be sure when you're reversing that there's no other lion around you, but I think they've all gone down into the drainage. Well, that was absolutely epic. Mbambili has been great this afternoon. Loved every minute of it, but I believe there's still some more action with Tristan, so let's go back over to him and see what's happening.
Well, I'm glad that you enjoyed it, Dave. It's amazing that we had the Djuma Pride this afternoon and these guys. So it's been successful. Dave has certainly reaped many rewards on Mbambili this week. He had Hukamuri there, and obviously the Djuma Pride's great elephant sighting yesterday. So really, really glad for him. Obviously, he's leaving us tonight. He's going to do his last drive today, and then tomorrow morning Steve Falconbridge will be back. Some of you won't know who Steve Falconbridge is, but a lot of you will. You will all thoroughly enjoy Steve, if you can tell the difference between the two of us. A lot of people think that we look very similar. Steve is greyer than I am. I can confirm after seeing him this afternoon that he's got a lot more grey in his beard and his sideburns and things than I do. But yes, he's a fantastic guide, and so it will be really good. But like I say, sad that Dave's leaving. It's also been really, really nice to work with him over the course of the last 2 weeks. Thoroughly enjoyed it. He's my kind of guy where you just kind of get on with it and do what we need to do, and been very, very chilled. But as you can see, still feeding, but it's kind of settled down a bit. It's not nearly as chaotic as what it was. Just really kind of licking the last little bits. There's a few of them pulling strands of meat, but most of it will be now using those rough tongues just to clean up the rib areas and between the vertebra, and maybe the odd little bits of leg that might still be left in skin, but really not too much to speak of. And it's why the growling is really calmed right down now, as everyone's kind of had their fill a little bit and not really much to fight over anymore. But what you can see is the lioness with her wound is very, very powerful, or very sort of open wound on her leg. I think another lioness is coming. Is there a lion behind us? There is a lion behind us. Is this a lioness? Now, Melissa, the lioness with the injured leg is absolutely fine, but I didn't see who that was that came past. That one's got a very full belly, whoever it is. Listen to the contact calls. So it is one of the lionesses, but I'm not sure which one, because, like I say, they didn't have full bellies when they left, but maybe she was one that got a kind of healthy feed. But you can see the one with the wound there. She's absolutely fine, Melissa. Like I say, it's more, it looks worse than it actually is, this particular wound. It's just on a bad area where she flexes a lot. And so that means it's going to struggle to granulate and really close up. So it's going to be a little bit raw and open for a while, I'm afraid. But you can see that there's that blackening on the edges, and that's, like I say, what's referred to as granulation, where it starts to heal and starts to close, and eventually it will close up, as long as she keeps grooming it and it's in a nicely accessible spot for her to keep it nice and clean. She's going to be okay. I don't think it's anything to worry about. Like I say, she walks absolutely fine. She's not limping. She's not showing any sign of discomfort, and she's generally healthy otherwise. There's no maggots there. There's no sort of sign of any sort of disturbance other than the fact that the skin is just broken a little bit. For those of you that missed what happened to her, she got it while hunting a kudu bull. Whether it was the kudu's horns or its legs or a stump, we don't know, but she got it from a kudu, and it's kind of hunting process and somewhere in that managed to hurt it. But what a magic afternoon with these guys. Actually, we started this morning, kind of starting or ending how we started with them today. We joined them at a very similar stage with that impala this morning. They were just finishing that up, and so we're at that stage with the warthog now to finish things up, which has been good. Simothea? No, I don't think so. I'm afraid the dam cam is far from here. I suspect that you're going to find that these lines are going to go back north. If not north, then they're going to continue east into Torchwood, but the closest water really for them is just straight north of where they are now at a waterhole called Nsinga. I'm pretty sure that's where they're going to head rather than anywhere else. They're much more comfortable to the north. They came down this way following buffalo, and there's a lot of buffalo, I believe, in Buffelshoek at the moment, so I'm pretty sure their general direction is going to be back northwards, so away from the dam cam, I'm afraid. We're right in the northeastern corner of Djuma at the moment, very, very close to actually where Thandi chased that ground hornbill yesterday morning. In fact, we followed Thandi pretty much through where we are right now yesterday morning. So it's right up on the northeastern corner, and I suspect, like I say, that they're going to go northwards back towards Nsinga and up into Buffelshoek again. This is amazing. But you can see how even they're getting the meat between the ribs as well. Catherine, you say, look how strong they look. They are looking really good. When lions are well fed and are in good condition, they really look amazing. And this particular pride is looking fantastic at the moment. They really are looking healthy and strong. And they're looking in great, great condition. So Really, really cool to see them in this condition, and really nice to see them well fed. Alright, we're going to stay, like I say, with them until the end. We'll see if anything happens. So far nothing has arrived here other than the lions, but it sounds like something that we were hoping to arrive is all the way up at andBeyond in Ngala, and is milling about.
So we left the leopard. So the leopards were still just sleeping in the tree and the other one in the grass. We heard a bit of hyena activity here. It sounded like there were more than one. And I think this one is being extremely greedy and has actually chased off a number of other hyenas. But you can imagine now, with it getting darker, getting much, much colder, hyenas are active. They're smelling now. They're listening to this crunching the bones. They're cracking up the bones. They're listening to it. And they're coming to investigate. You can see now the hyena, he's eating very, very quickly, because if other hyenas come, maybe bigger ones or more senior ones in the clan, or maybe even a different clan, they're going to come and they're going to try and fight them and steal it. So he's trying to just chow down much as he can. You see, you heard something. I thought I did too. What was he getting? Now look, it's only just bones left there. So he's got a whole leg. Take it to go, apparently. Oh, it sounds like there were some other hyenas making noise just behind us. And man, that must have scared him away. As you can see, he's gone. I wonder if the leopards will come back. But what we're going to do, we're going to sit here for a minute or two more and just have a look, see if anything happens. But while we do that, we're going to send you across to David, see if he's found anything at night.
Well, we're just slowly making our way back to camp, reflecting on a magnificent day and a magnificent couple of weeks I've had out here at WildEarth. It's been truly spectacular. Djuma and Chitwa and Simbambili, these properties are just so busy, so much life, and yet also challenging. Sometimes these cats make you work for it, but it's been such a privilege to be able to spend time with these animals, enjoy the big and the small, even get out, move around a bit, even climb some trees. It's been lovely working with the crew. Such an incredible team here at WildEarth, such a phenomenal group of people, so well versed and talented in everything they do, and extremely passionate about wildlife and telling the story of these animals, from their struggles to their accomplishments. Always a privilege to be out here. I believe everyone's sending me warm wishes, thank you. Appreciate it. You're always welcome to catch up with what I'm up to. If you want to go on our website or our Facebook page or Instagram, it's Natural Earth Safaris, that's my company. I'll post updates as we go. It looks like we're going to close on an elephant. He's just come into shot to say goodnight and goodbye. It may only be an elephant bum, but it's still an elephant. I was looking for something cool to close the show on, and an elephant bum's gonna do. Well, this has been truly spectacular, and until next time, that's a cheers from me. Goodbye.